Then they went out and traded their captain, Kyle Okposo, to the Florida Panthers, obviously a pending UFA and a guy that they really just wanted to do a solid in letting him choose the team that he wanted to go to really try to make a cup push and maybe his final season in the National Hockey League and finally getting in the playoffs for the first time in 7 years. As you mentioned, they got a minor league prospect back and a 7th-round pick for Okposo that could become a 5th if the Florida Panthers do win the Stanley Cup, Austin. We talked about this on our trade deadline preview. Were they going to move on from the captain, Kyle Okposo, if it made sense for him? And obviously, he must have wanted to go to a contender to really have a shot here, and Kevin Adams was able to make that happen for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think as the last couple games started to approach the deadline, you kind of heard some reports come out. Okposo kind of said, like, oh, like, Adams knows where I stand. I feel like it got to the point where if he was going to stay, he kind of would have just outright said he doesn't want to leave. Again, whether people agree or not, I think Okposo is the type of guy where if he wanted to stay, you do right by him and let him stay. Like, they could have Girgensons instead if Okposo wanted to stay, which obviously, actually, I don't think they would have because I don't think there's anything in this world that'll make Terry Pegula move Zemgus Girgensons. But like I said, Okposo was the guy that he was going to go to a legitimate cup contender like Florida, right? Like they're firmly in the playoff race, one of the best teams in the league. They were in the cup last year. Like, makes sense. Reunites with Sam Reinhart, a former teammate, even Evan Rodriguez, a former teammate. So I think it's a really good spot for him. Not exactly sure what his role is going to be. You know, if that 5th-round pick does come to fruition because they hit the cup, that's a great bonus. But if not, I think that was just more or less Kevin Adams doing right by a veteran, and whether people still, crazy opinion or something that the GM shouldn't do. Look at the reaction when that trade happened. Most Buffalo media and Buffalo fans said, good on Adams for doing right by his captain and letting him go chase a cup. It's silly, but that stuff does matter. So the return was never going to be big. I was actually a little bit surprised they got an AHL body out of it, plus the 7th-round pick. So, Rochester needed help. Adams got Rochester some help, plus a potential 5th-round pick. At worst, you have a 7th-round pick.
And this is the stuff that matters that people don't really talk about as far as good culture and treating your players right. I mean, all this stuff matters when these players hit free agency or when no move clauses kick in. Like, players respect what other players' opinions are of places that they've been at. And whether we like to hear it or not, they do talk about places and ask other former players that have played in certain areas, how did they treat you there? And it does matter to people. So if people want to just kind of shove that under the rug and think that it doesn't matter, then you don't understand that these are people at the same time and they want to be treated with respect, although, they are, assets at the end of the day as dark as that might seem. There are people as well, and I think doing right by your captain that's been through so much, as you mentioned on our trade deadline preview show, all the things that he's done here with Buffalo and all the trials and tribulations he's gone through with this team, being able to help him out on the way out and get him somewhere that he has a chance. Like, I was completely okay with that move. I was like you. I didn't even care what the compensation was. Just get him a chance and maybe give an opportunity to somebody in Rochester to be able to come up and take his spot. But more importantly, have somebody in that room step up as hopefully the next captain of this team, whether that's going to be Tuck, Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin. We're not really sure yet, but somebody's going to step up in that room, and Okposo even said that the guys are ready in there to take over the C from him on his way out.
Yeah, that's basically all this was about. It was about opening up a spot, moving on from a guy, whatever your opinion of him was. Sure, he did not live up to the hype of the contract that he signed back, became a free agent and signed with Buff. But over the last couple of years, he stepped up, was a nice veteran leader, really good guy. It genuinely seems like he's honestly a really good person, which makes it a lot easier for him and a lot easier to do right by him. And now, Tyson Jost, Lucas Rusek are up here. Maybe one of them have a nice little 15-game audition, 15, 20-game audition, whatever they're going to get out of this. And it is what it is. But at the end of the day, you cleared out a spot. You did right by your former captain. And again, it was an inconsequential move in my mind, but it also was such an easy, good PR for Kevin Adams to do right by one of the popular teammates in the organization.